The 2025 Wimbledon Championships are around the corner. The draw came out today, and just like I've been doing over the past 2 years, I filled out every round in both the men's and women's draw by hand. Now, I like doing it by hand, even though it does take quite some time, because I get to familiarize myself with the draw better, and it also makes my predictions more important because once I fill it out, I can't really make any changes. So let's get started with the women's draw first. Let's start at the top, and it's going to get interesting right away in the women's draw. Vondrousova will make it through the first round, which is going to be super interesting. Both of these players won tournaments on grass prior to Wimbledon. Kessler won in Nottingham and Vondrousova won in Berlin. But I think Vondrousova, with the experience that she has at Wimbledon, will make it through the first two rounds. And she has beaten Sabalenka in Berlin in straight sets. But Sabalenka, prior to that match, beat Rybakina 7-6 in the third after being down 6-2 in the third set tiebreak, and she was able to rattle off 6 straight points to win that match. So Sabalenka was possibly fatigued in that one. So I'm picking Sabalenka to beat Vondrousova and make it into the fourth round, where she will face Svitolina. This is an interesting section of the draw, and I do have an upset in the first round. Fruhvirtova takes out Mertens. Mertens won a tournament in Hertogenbosch, but I think Fruhvirtova came through the quali. She's playing a lot better. She came on the tour as one of the best juniors and reached the top 100, won a WTA title, and then fell into a little bit of a slump where she fell out of the top 100, where she currently finds herself, but she's been playing with a lot more confidence as of late. She's really good on grass, and I'm picking the upset over Mertens. She'll have a tough match against Lee, but ultimately she will lose to Svitolina, who's been playing well this year. But once Svitolina faces Sabalenka, I do think that Sabalenka is going to be too strong for her, and Sabalenka will find herself in the quarterfinals. Sabalenka's quarterfinal opponent will be Madison Keys, who does have a tricky draw. Danilovic in the second round will be a tricky match. I think Fernandez makes it through the third, but Keys is going to be too strong for her. Donna Vekic had an incredible opportunity to make the Wimbledon final last year. Donna is a great grass court player, but Madison Keys is playing well this year. She finds her best tennis at the Grand Slam level, and I do think that Keys takes out Vekic in the fourth round, but Sabalenka will take out Keys in the quarters. As we get to the bottom portion of the top half, I have a big upset. Noskova beating Paolini in the third round. Linda Noskova has one of the best serves on tour. She's been playing well on grass. And I have her going into the fourth round, where she will face off against Anisimova. She is playing well this year. To me, she's a solid top 10 player. She has potential to be in the top 5. Possibly the best ball striker on planet Earth. So for those reasons, I have Anisimova going into the quarters, where she will face off against Zheng, who's been playing well this year, but also played really well in Queens, where she made the semifinal. And who did she lose to there? Well, she lost to Anisimova, who will beat her again. So I have Anisimova going into the semifinals of Wimbledon. Let's now take a look at the bottom half, and I have Andreeva going into the fourth round. I do think that she has a comfortable draw. Navarro has a very tricky draw, and she plays one of my favorite players of all time, Petra Kvitova, who is retiring this year. Petra, two-time Wimbledon champion, an exceptional grass court player, but she was off the tour for a while, struggling to win matches. And Navarro, on the other hand, has been winning a lot of matches on the grass. And I have an insane upset here. Ala beating last year's champion Krejcikova in the first round. And Ala is playing really well. She's a great grass court player. And Krejcikova, on the other hand, has been struggling with injuries, hasn't been able to win a lot of matches. So for those reasons, I have Ala beating Krejcikova in the first round, beating Dolhide in the second, but I do think that she's going to lose to Navarro in the third. Andreeva, on the other hand, has been struggling on grass. She's not anywhere near her top level. So despite her making the fourth round, I do think that she will go out to Emma Navarro, who will make the quarterfinals, where she will face Jessie Pegula, who's a great grass court player. Jessie has a tricky draw. Tatiana Maria in the second round is a nightmare opponent, but I think Pegula will figure out a way how to beat Maria. Maria heavily depends on serving well. She served really well at the tournament in Queens, which she won. But then the following tournament, she lost in the first round to Leila Fernandez. And in that particular match, she didn't serve well. So her game is dangerous. But for Maria to beat the top players, the serve has to be clicking. And I just have a gut feeling that Pegula will be too steady for her. And she will not only beat Maria, but she will beat Bencic in the third round, Alexandrova in the fourth. And she will take out Navarro in the quarterfinals and make the semifinals. This right here is the most interesting section of the entire women's draw, and both Iga Swiatek and Rybakina have tough luck with the draw, and I do think they're going to face off in the fourth round. Iga has been playing really well in Bad Homburg. She's in the final. It hasn't been played yet, but she could win that tournament and go into Wimbledon with a lot of confidence. But Rybakina impressed me in that match in Berlin against Sabalenka, where she was up 6-2 in the third set tiebreak. She has more confidence at Wimbledon, being a former champ, and for those reasons, I'm picking her to beat Iga and make the quarterfinals. But not only that, I'm also picking Rybakina to beat Coco Gauff, who has been struggling a little bit on the grass. So I got Rybakina going into the semifinals, where she will face off against Jessie Pegula. So I have Sabalenka taking out Anisimova, and I have Rybakina taking out Pegula. And in the final, Sabalenka will take out Rybakina and take the Wimbledon title. And let me give you the reasoning for my choice. I think, like I said before, Sabalenka is on a redemption tour, not only because she lost a heartbreaker to Coco Gauff in the Roland Garros final, but she didn't do the right thing, not only in the trophy ceremony, but also in the post-match press conference. And she regrets what she said. She received a lot of criticism. So I think this will give her motivation to make things right, so to speak. But also the fact that she lost that heartbreaker. Sabalenka is so good at bouncing back from tough losses. And the final will feature the two best power players in the world. And that match in Berlin was very high quality. Rybakina played really well. This, of course, could go both ways. But again, my gut feeling is that Sabalenka will win Wimbledon. On to the men's draw. So I got Sinner against Shapovalov in the third round. Both of them have quite comfortable draws, I have to say. I don't see either of them losing prior to that point, but Sinner will be too steady for Shapovalov. And in the fourth round, Sinner will face off against Tommy Paul, who has a very tricky draw, especially the second round against Medvedev, the third round against Dimitrov. And Tommy hasn't been playing well on the grass this year. He played really well last year, but I think he will put it together. He's having a great season, but Sinner will prove to be too strong for Paul, so Sinner is going into the quarterfinals. We got a super tricky section here, and I do have an upset. I think Hugo Humbert, one of the best grass court players in the world, will take out Ben Shelton in the third round, who's not necessarily that comfortable on the grass. And Musetti is another fantastic grass court player, and this will be a tough fourth round match between Humbert and Musetti. But Musetti's confidence this year is so high. He's been playing so well, reaching the late stages of the most important tournaments, and I think he takes out Humbert and makes the quarterfinals, where he will lose to Jannik Sinner. I think this matchup is a tough one for Musetti. Sinner is going to be too steady, too aggressive for him, and I don't see Musetti winning this match. Maybe the most interesting third round match of the tournament will be Draper against Bublik, and Bublik has beaten Draper in a super entertaining match at Roland Garros. And Bublik won the tournament in Halle by taking out the absolute elite level of the ATP Tour. Took out Sinner in the second round, Medvedev in the final. Maybe his best tournament win of his career, even though he has won Halle a previous time. So Bublik, a phenomenal grass court player. But Draper, also a great grass court player. He played a tournament in Queens in which he made the semifinals, but even some of his wins prior to making the semis were a little bit scratchy. I don't think Jack is anywhere near his top level. So I think Bublik takes out Draper again, just like he did at Roland Garros. Another player who hasn't played his best tennis on grass is Menchik. I think he will figure out how to get through these first three matches, and I do think he makes it to the fourth round, where he will lose to Bublik, because I think Bublik will expose some of the weaknesses that Menchik has on grass. So I got Bublik going into the quarterfinals, where he will face off against Novak Djokovic, who does have a comfortable draw. Of course, Evans in the second round will be tricky. Mickelson is a good grass court player. Alex de Minaur is a tough grass court player. But I don't see Novak losing to any of these guys. And I don't also see Novak losing to Bublik. He will figure out how to get into the Bublik service game and once Bublik starts doing those drop shots, Novak still moves exceptionally well, and I do think he's gonna beat Bublik, but it might be a really tough match that might possibly go the distance. Let's get to the bottom half of the draw, and I got Fritz Medvedev, 4th round. Both guys have been playing well on grass. Medvedev made it to the final of Halle, and Fritz won the tournament in Stuttgart, and he's currently playing Eastbourne. He's in the semifinals. So Fritz, one of the best grass court players on planet Earth. He currently has the best serve in the world, and I finally made a Taylor Fritz serve video where I discuss some of the technical elements on his serve. So look out for that video coming out very soon on the Intuitive Tennis YouTube channel. So Fritz will not only make the 4th round, but I'll also have him going through Medvedev. So Fritz will be in the quarters. So Hurkacz is a big question mark because he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. I don't know if he's 100% fit because he did pull out of the 2nd round in Hertogenbosch. So him reaching the 4th round depends on his health. But if Hubi is healthy, he is one of the best grass court players in the world. So it's a little bit of an uncertainty, but I have Hurkacz going in the 4th round where he plays Zverev. Now, the 3rd round between Zverev and Berrettini is going to be super tricky for Zverev. They actually played each other at Wimbledon in 2023 where Zverev lost to Berrettini. So this will be a super tricky match, but similar to Hurkacz, Berrettini has been struggling with injuries. So for that reason, I actually have Zverev going through Berrettini and making the 4th round. Zverev has been playing a lot of tennis on grass. Maybe not his absolute top tennis, but he's been winning a lot of matches, making the finals in Stuttgart and making the semifinals in Halle. Now, because of the uncertainty of Hurkacz's health, I'm actually picking Zverev. I think this is a great opportunity for Zverev to go deep in Wimbledon, but his absolute #1 Angstgegner on tour, a guy that he lost to in the Stuttgart final, a guy that he lost to at the ATP finals and at the US Open last year, is Taylor Fritz. And I think on grass, Zverev will lose to Taylor Fritz again. So I got Taylor going into the semifinals of Wimbledon. This section right here is very interesting. We have some great matches. For example, Brooksby against Griekspoor. I just made a video on Brooksby's new serve, so look out for that coming very soon on the Intuitive Tennis YouTube channel. But Fonseca, always super exciting when he plays. I do think Fonseca wins the 1st round, which will be tricky. Fernley is a tough player, especially on grass. Griekspoor, he's in the final of Mallorca that hasn't been played yet. So for that reason, I do think Griekspoor's level on grass is a little bit above Fonseca. So I got Griekspoor going into the 3rd round where he will lose to Holger Rune. Now, Holger will play Lehečka in the 4th round, who does have a comfortable draw. I don't see Lehečka losing to any of these guys. I do have an upset alert here. Bautista Agut taking out Tiafoe, who's been far from his best tennis on grass, and Bautista Agut, on the other hand, has been playing exceptionally well, making the semifinals of Queens. So I got Bautista taking out Tiafoe, but he will ultimately lose to Lehečka, who's incredibly dangerous. He almost got Carlos in the final of Queens. So Lehečka will not only make the 4th round, but I also got him beating Rune. So I got Lehečka going into the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, where he will face Carlitos. I don't see Alcaraz losing to any of these guys. I do think that he has a comfortable draw. Of course, the 3rd round against Auger Aliassime could be tricky. If you look here, I got a huge upset in the 2nd round. I got Bergs taking out Rublev, who has been struggling on grass. Rublev can play well on grass. It's not his favorite surface, but he has reached the 4th round of Wimbledon before. And the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, he was in the final of Halle. But Bergs was in the final of Hertogenbosch. He's playing well on grass, so I'm feeling the upset on this one. But I don't think Bergs can take out 2 top 20 players in a row. So I got Tsitsipas going into the 4th round, where he will have absolutely no chance against Alcaraz. Now, the 4th round between Lehečka and Alcaraz could get tricky. It was a super tight match in the Queens final, but I got Alcaraz going through the semis. So we have Sinner against Djokovic and Fritz against Alcaraz in the semifinals of Wimbledon. So I have Sinner not only beating Djokovic, but also beating Alcaraz and winning Wimbledon. Carlos Alcaraz is the best grass court player in the world. He has the perfect attributes that you need to be dominant on grass. And I wouldn't even say that Sinner has better grass attributes compared to Djokovic. But we cannot forget that Sinner, prior to that final in Rome, was regarded as unbeatable. But the storyline has flipped, and now it's all about Alcaraz. And I think this is actually going to go in Sinner's favor. I do believe that the semifinal match against Djokovic will be extremely difficult for Sinner. The best surface for Djokovic when he plays Sinner is going to be grass. But I do think that Sinner has proven how tough of an opponent he is for Djokovic. So even on grass, I do see Sinner going through Djokovic, maybe in a super tight 5-set match. So if Sinner manages to beat Djokovic on grass, his confidence is going to be sky high. And that loss at Roland Garros, if it's not already forgotten by Sinner, will be long forgotten if he comes through Djokovic. And he will have a huge advantage going into the final against Alcaraz because Alcaraz is going to be the clear favorite. I don't see Taylor Fritz taking out Alcaraz in the semis. So Alcaraz goes into that match. People are going to be talking about the next Bjorn Borg, the next Roger Federer on grass. They're going to talk about the three-peat, and Sinner is going to go into that match as the underdog, as the guy who blew all those opportunities to beat Alcaraz in the Roland Garros final. And it's for those reasons that I'm picking Sinner to beat Alcaraz, even though Alcaraz is going to be the favorite. Because as I've been saying over the last couple of years, when these two guys play each other, it's a 50-50 match. They can beat each other on any surface. So Sinner has proven that he can beat Alcaraz on clay. And you can make the argument that that's Sinner's least favorite surface, and yet in the final of Roland Garros, he was so close to beating Carlos. So it doesn't matter where these guys play. It's going to be a 50-50 match. It's going to come down to a few points here and there. But again, my gut feeling is that if this match happens in the way that I'm predicting it to happen, if Sinner happens to take out Djokovic, he's going to gain a lot of confidence from that win. That will be a very difficult match from the mental standpoint. And on the other hand, I think a lot of the pressure is going to be on Alcaraz in that final. And it's for those reasons that I think that Sinner will finally beat Alcaraz in a late-stage Grand Slam match, and he will be the new Wimbledon champion.